You are now about to witness. This is going to be a problem. The awesome, crushing might of. This is going to be a problem. Knuckle up! Oh no! I got busted! Ah! I miscalculated. I was dizzy. I'm sure there's not too many of you who remember the time I actually passed out on the air. The last thing I said before I passed out was, "Oh my God, we're having an earthquake," because I thought I held the note so long that I hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Welcome, my friends. Knuckle up, number 256. I am your host, Eugene S. The S stands for Short Timer Robinson. And we're here to talk about UFC Fight Night 116, as well as the GGG Canelo fight. Canelo. You know where I'm going with this. If you want light and happiness, there's another place to go that's not here. First, Stigmata, Calling of the Just. Song's called Intro All of Nothing. Bob Riley says it best. Right here, right now, available from Revelation Records, Huntington Beach. My way back to nowhere. Could not see so clear. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Being paid back in full, always nothing. All right, my friends. Welcome to a show that seemingly apparently never ends. Some guy said those words have a certain poignancy now that we're 5 away from the Flambe show. Eugene, stay. Some of you have made impassioned pleas. I said I was going to read this, and I'm going to. And I'm going to start out at the top of the hour before I get too deeply into the show, because I shall forget. So let's do it. Let's do it now. And I got a lot. You guys were burning me up during the fight. Here we go. So stick with me while I read from the Knuckle Up news bag, please. News bag. Hey, you want to help me with the bags? Sure, I'll take the blonde and you take the brunette. Okay, sorry, old vaudeville. Hey, Eugene. Just unless you think I'm bullshitting, there it is right there. I don't want to show you the guy's number for too long, even though you could freeze the screen and get his number now and call him and harass him. But he says, hey, Eugene, just want to thank you. I was able to go undefeated in the blue belt light heavyweight division at the American Grappling Challenge in Cleveland today. 1 silver. Beat the guy who got gold, who, for what it's worth, trains with Stipe Miocic and Jessica I. But it was wacky round robin rules, and he had 1 more sub than me, so gold goes to him. Why am I thanking you? The fight book. Like any truly red-blooded American male, I want to learn BJJ after Royce won UFC 1. Chose to live the punk rock dirtbag lifestyle for the next 19 years. Knew of you from Oxbow, got fight when it came out, was inspired. The title, subtitle couldn't have been more apropos for me. I was afraid. Cleaned up within the next year, started running in weights, still afraid. Dropped 30 plus pounds, finally set foot in the BJJ school, started training BJJ, MMA, boxing, bell rung a few too many times, and it's all BJJ now. Reading and listening to audiobook enough times and overcame the fear. So thank you. You were more of an inspiration to me than any Gracie. Really gonna miss you after Knuckle Up 251 Flambe. It's compelling stuff. It's compelling stuff, you know. And it's moving even though people come to me and they say they expect some sort of sentimentality, and I've repeated it on more than one occasion. I'm not a sentimentalist. I'm probably, like my kids say, on a spectrum somehow, that like when my first kid was born and she's sliding out and it was a super emotional moment, but then suddenly I was aware of the on-duty nurse looking into my eyes trying to steal my moment. Like I'm watching the kid come out and I feel her looking at me, and I know this is going to devolve into a story later on where she tells her friends around chips and dip in the nursery, oh, this guy's big muscles and tattoos, cried like a baby when his kid come out. Now, I hate to be motivated by social pressures, but in this instance, I was like, you're not going to have my moment. So I'm looking at the kid. I look at her. I look back at the kid. The kid comes out. I go, great. How wonderful. Kind of like when they told me my grandmother had died. Said, hey, your grandmother had died. I go, that's a problem. Anyway, I got to get to the gym. Or alternatively, at prom night in high school, called my girlfriend and told her her name was Hewan. Say, hey, could you take the subway to the place? I got to work out. I mean, it doesn't take more than an armchair psychologist to realize that I'm, that these are that I'm just being very private, that I'm having emotional moments, but I'm not choosing to share them. Doesn't make a difference. That guy's thing was compelling, and I've been getting a lot of email, text, and tweets like that from yous, which I appreciate. Anyway, how do you feel? How do you feel? It's a question that bears being asked. If you've ever been part of the lifestyle, you know, much like Lee Hazelwood, Some Velvet Morning. The next day you wake up and you assess the damage that was done from the evening before, and you either feel that was all right, or like my oft-told tale about Tango and Cash, some of the best heroin that was coming through New York in the 80s, and that guy ODing, and then his friend called the paramedics, and when he gets, escapes from the hospital, breaks loose from the gurney, gets out of the handcuffs, runs back, and bitches the guy out, wants his money back, because the deal was, if I OD, do not call the paramedics. I don't want my high ruined. That's how dedicated people were to a certain lifestyle. But the next day you take an assessment. The rites, the rituals, I'm using, going back to the drug world parallel. The rites, the rituals, the actual impact of the drug, and then the post facto re-examination. So here we are on Sunday, post UFC Fight Night 116. How do you feel? I mean, last week I sent you, from the wine bar where I'm watching, sent you a still pic of me on the couch. You couldn't even see the wife because she was passed out on the side, and the old guy and his crippled dad in front of us, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, some of you started tweeting stuff to me. Here I am in Australia, just one guy in a hotel room bar looking at it. They used to rush to give numbers. Have you seen numbers from last week? Have you seen numbers from this week? I haven't, and I'm paying attention. But I don't want to be a nattering nabob of negativity. And on this Sunday, after I examine the kick from last night, I have to say, you know what? There comes a point where you have to, what they call it, moments of clarity, where the mist clears and you see you and a pile of wood and a bunch of other dudes wandering around the landscape trying to figure out how to get inside. One of you, maybe I'll read your tweet, was actually was enraged, was switching back and forth between the GGG, Canelo, and the UFC, and it's like watching your ex-girlfriend fuck somebody else, and then somebody comes and says, hey, by the way, while you're sitting here watching that, I saw your current girlfriend fucking somebody else. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm being double fucked? You're being double fucked. My man sitting there with a picture in a picture, watching both fights, UFC and and the box, and oh, it's a draw, and they have to do it again, a rematch. Really, really, that's what has to happen, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna direct a movie, and I'm gonna call it The Losers. They had one last chance, and they blew it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I keep thinking that boxing will change. Who has to die for boxing to change? Don King, some guy came up to me in Orchard Supply yesterday and said, "Hey, you remind me of somebody." I go, "Was it somebody handsome?" He's like, nah, who is that guy you remind me of? Who is, because after training, my hair was sticking up. Oh, hey, Don King. I was like, yeah. So you remind me of somebody too. He's like, really? Who's that? Said the guy who needs to mind his own fucking business. He expected something really clever, like Ronald McDonald, which he did bear more than the passing resemblance to Ronald McDonald. A guy who needs to take it on the fucking arches and leave me alone. No, and I don't mind the Don King blast, because Don King, have you heard him? Put him on a milk crate. Haven't seen that guy. Haven't heard. Last thing I heard about Don King came out of Mike Tyson's mouth, and it was about what a reptilian motherfucker he was. So Bob Arum, haven't heard too much of him. So it's switched to the next guy. Who? Oscar, that golden boy, De La Hoya. Oh, he's gonna ride into town and he's gonna clean things up. Oscar De La Hoya. Money Mayweather. Bob Aaron's still lurking around the periphery. What's it going to change? What's it going to take to change? Well, boxing has structural problems. No boxing moms. No moms who are out there wanting their kids taking shots to the head. MMA moms. Because they look at the grappling, they look at the kicking, they look at the last thing, they scoot the moms out of the gym or put on some headgear when they start doing the boxing portion. Right, they use headgear in boxing, but like the bald one is fond of saying, we don't have ex-cons here. Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. So the next day, on Sunday, we've spent Saturday night debauched, the fight degenerates that we are, flipping back and forth, watching the fights. I'm sitting at sports agent extraordinaire Salvatore Russo's house watching it. And at one point I look up and everybody's looking at their phones. I mean, except for me, who had just come from looking at my phone. So looking at my phone and my eyes go back to the screen and I note everybody in the room looking at their phones. And you guys are tweeting me, telling me about Sago and stuff like that. So those are fights I have to go back and watch. But this is the tote sheet. But I have to say, to answer my own question from not too long ago, how do I feel? I feel right like you do when that mist clears and you have those infrequent moments of clarity whenever you're a drug user of any kind, and you go, I can't keep doing this. And I've heard the response, which means that the bald one has somewhat hurt us. Has somewhat heard the pundits and the fans and the tweets and the Twitters and the texts, and it's like, look. Like in The Omen, when they talk about the endlessly roiling sea, when they're talking in Bugenhagen translates the apocalyptic part of the Book of Revelation. Said, look, this is about the world of politics. And the bald one said very much the same thing. It's like, there was a time before any of us knew about Johnny Boney Joni. There was a time before McGregor. And there was a time after, and there will be a time again. Yeah, but you know what? But combat sports don't exist in infinity time. For our purposes and our intents, they exist in a very finite time. Ask the people who were disaffiliated from baseball after that second baseball strike and never came back. Baseball could be healthy, just like sewer rat could taste like pumpkin pie, but I wouldn't know. because I'm not going to eat the filthy motherfucker, right? So, if you were into first, second, third, fourth generation, I'm checking out Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman is still doing fight reportage on his show and doesn't touch the UFC. Doesn't seem to miss anything. Covering any fight organization and boxing and amateur wrestling and happy as a fucking clam. They try to talk to him about, oh man, well, what do you think about? Doesn't know who they are. TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. You might as well have said Chiang Kai-shek or Dirk Wanger. That was like probably the worst SS guy ever. Was hated by other SS guys like Roy DeMeo, a mafia guy hated by other mafia guys. That's how repellent he was. My favorite Nazi story is when speaking of drugs, when Goering was deep into his heroin addiction and shows up at a meeting of upper level generals in a caftan and a turban with made up medals, and even Hitler did a double take. What? But they didn't say anything. They just went ahead with the meeting. You're gonna kill 12 million people, but you show up in a you kill so many people that when they ask Speer about it, maybe to save his neck, maybe not, he goes, Jews? What Jews? I ain't hear nothing about no Jews. But Goering shows up dressed with a caftan, a turban, and made up medals, and people take notice. Biographers. That's how I found out. It's not like I was there. So the next day, the mist clears. We see the wood pile. We look around, and a bunch of us are bumping up against cords of wood. The fight degenerates. How do you feel? Feel like I got to do something else. There may have been a time where, look, drugs work in stylistic bursts like anything else. I'm sure there was a time back in the 80s and the 90s, late 80s, early to mid 90s, where you knew a lot of crackheads. I can't be the only one. Crackheads and crackhead stories. Go to Ozzy.com, OZY.com, and type in my PhD in crack. You can read about the Nietzsche scholar, beauty queen, Swedish royal, speaking 3 languages, Ivy League graduate, professor, and crack whore. And keep in mind that version that we ran in Ozzy was like the fucking PG version. I am privy to the unexpurgated adult version. Now I'm sure that you get into a relationship and you all had to have that talk about how many partners you've had and stuff like that. They don't uncover. It's part and parcel of just having that monogamy discussion that invariably you probably have in the first 6 months of your relationship when you're trying to figure out, am I going to invest in this thing or is this just a fun thing? And so as part of it, you ask if you get around to the monogamy thing, and then also you deal with monogamy thing is a wish projection. And the sex partners thing is reality. And you take those two like a sandwich and you put them together to see how likely it is that the 6 months after that 6 months is going to be good for you. For example, if you have a partner who says, oh, I'm totally into monogamy, and they've had 5,000 sex partners, it might give you pause. Wishful thinking up against reality made it together. One is shorter than the other. Reality is here, 5,000 sex partners. Fantasy, wish projection is okay, but then you have to ask, what were the circumstances under which you had 5,000 sex partners? Says, well, I was a prostitute all through college. This is a conversation I have had. And I was like, huh. And I guess under normal circumstances, people would talk about those relationships. But in this instance, you just had sex with a guy named John. What are you gonna do with that? It's like, hey man, they got water off a duck's back. You can't stumble with something like that. Other countries do things differently. She's from another country. But the crack whore piece, that was something else. 7:55. Yeah, sure. So, but you wake up. It was Sunday now, and how do you feel? Well, you know what? Um, I feel like I can't fucking play this game. I can't play it. Mm. But I am also incapable of not playing it, and not because of the shows, but because it's the ocean the ocean that is being pissed in is the ocean in which I swim. 5, 6 days a week at jujitsu. Everybody's talking about it. All the kids are talking about it. So I'm going to be thinking about it. I wrote a book. I'm still, obsessed. People keep telling me to go on Joe Rogan's show. I'm thinking about doing that. I mean, at this point now, you want to find out what happened. You got it. It's like the guy in Dirty Harry says. He looks up and goes, "I got to know," because I was there at the start, and God damn it, I want to be there at the finish. But right now, that's space talk. That's space talk. Let's get to the fights. Let's get to the fights. All right. So if you watch the Care Don't Care preview, you would have known that I had 5 cares, and Kid Nate had 6. And I think largely I just kicked the fuck out of Kid Nate. With all due respect, I just slapped him all around the. Well, maybe not. Let's go through it. So sadly, I did see the Gilbert Burns Jason Sago thing, and that was the KO punch. And yo, bros, I'm digging all you texting and tweeting me and like, oh man, look at this, look at that. That guy's a care now. I used to know a guy whose name was Tom Watson, and I thought that the genius of that name, not only did he share it with a famous golfer, and he himself was also a golfer, but it was so eminently forgettable that he would have made a perfect spy. The second he told you his name, you forgot it. Giblet Burns versus Jason Sago. Are you going to remember their names tomorrow? If I called you at your house on Thursday and said, yo, man, did you see the Jason Sago thing? Would you have an immediate identification, or would you say, oh, hey, refresh my memory? Sago, who's, God, Gilbert Burns. Isn't he that guy, that comedian that talks like that? Isn't that Gilbert Burns? No, it's not Gilbert Burns, man. Really? No, it's not Gilbert Burns. That's Gilbert Gottfried. This is somebody. So did I? Yeah, I watched it. Cool. All right. Great, bro. Nice. Gilbert Burns, killer. Knocked him out. Great punch. And anyway, so we didn't start that. I didn't care, and I did watch it, and I go, wow, that was cool. And then I just stopped caring again, right? It's like sitting there and I got the rails in front of me. I did a rail. I was like, oh man, you ever do that? I don't know about your personal drug histories, but sometimes you get into this is really adult stuff. So if you're not ready for this, maybe go to get a beer now. So if you were like heavy into something, right? And you were alone, and sometimes you might go like, hey man, I'm alone. I'm a jerk off. And you jerk off, and then you wake up the next day like, damn, did I my dick hurts? Did I jerk off 1 time or 2 times or 3 or 4? I don't remember. I don't remember. I have no memory of this. That's kind of what this is like. I just don't remember. But I know I have on my sheet Hall and Jocko, and it took a lot for me not to pick Jocko because of the whole Polish thing and the home team, Prince of Poland. And this is even in advance of me being married to a Polish woman. It's just my best friend in high school was Polish. I got a long history, some best friends from. It's just a long history. The nickname had been Prince of Poland. At some point, somebody was trying to get me a fight with Klitschko in a very amusing way. Oh, it's a cat. The deaf one. So if somebody's worried about Popeye, and but because I'm in the studio, Popeye's all right. I think his right eye is still sort of fucked, but he's not on the way to the glue factory if that's what you care. So typically I would have picked Jocko, but I just he's become a gift. I can't go. And Uriah Hall. I picked Uriah Hall. Kid Not Dave picked Jocko. First round, Uriah Hall was and Rob Hines. You never know. If it's Dan Mergliotta will let you get almost beat to death now, it's great. If Mergliotta is the ref, I don't give a shit. I don't worry about any premature stop. A lot of people thought Uriah Hall should have been stopped in that first. But his TKO of Jocko in the second round, beautiful, and puts me up on the leaderboard. And then of course, let's see, I didn't give a shit about Daniel Spitz. Who? Daniel Spitz. Who? Daniel Spitz. Who? No relation to Mark Spitz. Who? Mark Spitz. Who? Mark Spitz. Yeah, whatever. And Anthony Hamilton? Come on, 24 fucking seconds? No, man. No. I didn't care about this fight because I knew the fight, like the Black Flag song says, from the start, I see the end. From the start, I see the end. It could have been an easy pickup for me because there's not a chance in hell I would have picked Anthony Hamilton. But I watched it. I didn't care before. I didn't care while I was watching it, and I don't care afterward. If you can think of a reason why I should care, you tell me. And that reason is dog shit. I can guarantee you before even hearing it, seeing it, reading it. Okay, so then, I picked Hall, Jocko. Neither Kid Nate or I cared about this one. But then on Olivier Aubin Messier, it was just Tony Martin. Kid Nate picked Martin. And of course, Olivier Aubin Messier won. I know Martin was kind of peeved, could have fused, but look at the first two rounds, you got your ass kicked. I don't care what kind of magic you pulled off. The third round, you would have had to put him away. Let's just say you got that third round. It doesn't ameliorate rounds 1 and 2. Again, Olivier Aubin Messier, great French Canadian fighter, and to quote Vinny Stigma from Agnostic Front, and you know what that story comes from? A friend of a friend got their guitar stolen. Left it in the van or some shit. Like, I gotta straighten my leg before I go crazy. Left it in the van or something like that. And then they happen to go to an Agnostic Front show and they see it, and Vinny's playing it. Now, he doesn't believe that Vinny actually broke in his van and stole his guitar, but whatever. So he gets backstage after the show and he says, "Hey, yo, Vinny, man, that's somebody broke in my van and stole my guitar. That's it. You got my stolen guitar." And Vinny just kind of looks at him and goes, "And?" It's like an ex of mine. He wanted to buy a vehicle from me. It was like in Snatch. And I said, I tell you what, it needs a lot of work to it. Why don't you just put the work in it? You can use it for the summer. That'll be the rent for it, and just return it to me at the end of the summer. He wanted to cut all ties because he didn't want me hanging around his girlfriend, my ex. He goes, nope. I want to buy it. I said, it needs. So the guy buys it all out. He buys it for $300. Has to put $300 in, and at the end of the summer, he comes to me and tries to get me to buy it back for $600. I said, "You dumb son of a bitch! I told you. You could have put the $300 in, had a perfectly functioning a vehicle for the entire summer, and given it back to me at the end of the summer, and that would have been your rental fee. More than fair. But you got slick with me. So guess what? And got fucked, bro. And Vinny wasn't giving the guitar back. He could have bought it fair and square from a guy. Your loss, my gain. Sorry. Get the insurance. You should have had insurance on it." So Martin lost. Olivier Aubin Mercier won. So Justin Ledette and Anyawu, listen. I thought Ledette lost the fight. We didn't care about the fight either way, but it was when I felt my soul leave my body. My soul was leaving my body. If you were following the Twitter stream at Eugene S. Robinson, you will have read what I said, which is something about, this has murdered any kind of enthusiasm that I may have had. It is dead in the crib. I don't know what Ledet thought he was doing with that terrible haircut. I didn't know this you know who I love now? Anyanwu, guy on 3 days notice, dropped like 20 pounds and almost beat the crap out of this guy. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead and say it. Heavyweight prospect, my ass. My ass. Don't even start with me. Like Mr. Marcus, my porn star friend said, when people would get in the middle of one of the pornos and start crying, you knew what the job was when you took it. It's not Bambi. It's just loads. It's just smells. So now I'm sitting there. This is probably when everybody was looking at their phones. I'm dispirited. But Usman's coming up. Usman and Moraes. Now, Moraes is kind of a bum, but he's never been put away. Great fight. First round, garabing. It was such a solid knockout. Dude ended up doing like a roll over on his head. And you could see him I would die to know what he said. He got knocked out head first. Then he tucked his head and rolled over backwards. And then with his legs up in the air. And he said something like, I don't know what he said. I'd like to imagine that he said, eggs are good food, or sausages be sausages, or I think he was pretty much in a position. And the Nigerian from Nigerian Usman said, he came out and said, listen, you guys, was he welterweight with 75ers? You're on notice. It's like, I got to eat. I'm not in the $135 million club. I got to eat. I'll take you all on, all of you. Where, you say each time you fight, you open a window into some of the fight. Well, Usman, we don't know about it. It was grappling, and he was taking lots of chances with this, just trying to brawl his way through. Solid win, maintained interest. So let's do it like the stock market. Sell, recommend, buy, strong buy. He's still a strong buy for me. I don't know how that rates or compares to cares, but I still care about him, and he's a strong buy. Is it enough for me to feel like on Sunday that my use of Saturday night was worthwhile? It is not. I'm not trying to be a nattering nabob of negativity. I'm just trying to be like Linton Kwesi Johnson says, a merciless realist. I'm open. Make a case for it. Make a case for all of us having spent our Saturday night in a fruitful fashion. And I'll tell you, you're hooked, kid. You're hooked. As your sponsor, I'm going to help you get cleaned up, but you're hooked. Gregor Gillespie, how the fuck did this get up so high on the card? Jason Gonzalez, this was a fight that makes you remember, that makes you kind of want to believe the bald one. Makes you kind of want to believe him. Same thing. 3 days notice, against NCAA Division II champion from Edinburgh. Also, like my first MMA coach, who's also suing me, whose name I won't mention, prick. I talk about him in the fight book. That's why he tried to sue me. Gillespie had a completely different fight. Man, you know how I said you can lose by winning and you can win by losing. I would say Jason Gonzalez definitely won by losing. Now that's a man. That guy fought like his head was on fucking fire. I'm not going back to Nicaragua. Fuck you. Fuck you. I mean, Gillespie was underwhelming in the acceptance speech. And when you think like, yeah, there was a time before McGregor and there'll be a time after, and, that beast slouching toward Jerusalem, is it Yates? Is it talking about, we're going to watch, and it's going to be, yeah, whatever, man. It's not there now, and you got 375 chances to make it so. Is there somebody on the roster? Can you have a rock and roll fantasy moment or Carnegie Hall moment? I need a first guy, violinist. Is there anybody in the house? I got 375 fighters on the roster. Is there anybody in the house who's got it? Well, what's the it? It, that thing. Yeah, it kept running ads for that it guys thing. What, the sweepstakes for? He's not even fighting. They're just trying to return their attention to MMA, to Vegas, to McG. To you don't even know what you're winning. It's like, fuck it. The guy's got it, man. I'm gonna squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until that it bears some whatever. Until there's nothing left to squeeze from that it. Dude doesn't even have to fight anymore. Says some sassy stuff, goes home and finishes counting the money. But that was a great fight. It more than made up for the Ledet Anyawu's fight. Cool. So now I'm back on even keel. Anthony Smith. And I picked Usman, and so did Kid Nate. So I have not gotten one wrong, and Kid Nate now has gotten two wrong. He picked Jocko and he picked Martin. And we both picked Usman, and we both picked Lombard. And I've liked Anthony Smith, and I had to be talked to this Karen about this fight. I've liked Anthony Smith in the past, but like I said, each time you fight, you open a window into your fight style that people are gonna like. Oh yeah. When I break in later, I'll be stealing that. And he was talking crazy about how hard it is for him to make 185, and he's going to go up to light heavyweight. And he's all over. He's people will remember his name, fame. He's going to live like forever. He's going to burn the sky like a flame. Okay, whatever, bro. I like you, Anthony Smith, but that slow start thing, that's not going to work against the guy. What, you're 6'4", dude's 5'9". You got 4 or 5 inch reach difference on him, and it took it to the third round to kind of fucking knock out a 40-year-old man. Yeah, it's Hector Lombard, but you ain't ready. You are not ready. He reminds me of Mark Dagger, used to sing for Urban Assault, who, if the scuttlebutt was to be believed, used to beat up old black ladies and steal their money in the Western edition. Did some prison time, went to Texas where he installs cable systems. Was a Aryan Nations guy, a marginal friend of mine in a weird turn of events, but not really. It was more a detente. And we have friends in common. In other words, we were Facebook friends for a bit, and then I think he just got irked being a hardcore racist that he is, and we defriended each other. And I got irked on my side, but I had never defriended him. He looks a young Anthony Smith looks like Mark Dagger. You check out Urban Assault if you like. I stopped being a fan when he up by Finocchio's in San Francisco. A friend of mine named Butch from Santa Cruz was was set upon by like 4 or 5 cholos. I ran to help him. Dagger was with me. I see him. We come to corner. He sees the cholos. There are 5 of them. He turns around and starts, "Where you going?" He goes, "I'm going to go get help." I guess he was going to go off to mug some old black ladies. So why Mike Perry and Alex Reyes were this high up on the card, I don't know. And so Mike Perry is like strutting and doing his chicken dance, and you go, "Oh my God, the guy's got the hair, he's got the looks." It's like Peggy Sue got married. I got the hair, I got the teeth, I got the looks. Feed me, charge me, make her love me. And you think he's got it. There's got to be a reason he's this high up on the card. Oh my God, it's Mike Perry. Mike Perry. He's done all these amazing things, undefeated, and Mike Perry opens his mouth. It's like, oh, there's a reason why it is rewarded so heavily, because it is in short supply. I've been grabbing the bag, get the basket, get the Pittsburgh Steel by the gas of my girl, and what? Hey. He's not Fat Albert, he's White Albert. But come on, man. God damn it. I'm sitting there. There's no growth delta here. None of us. We looked around the misty climb, and all we saw were us. We're not making any new fans with these fights. No way. It's just us. Yous and me, just us. And then we come to the big. Kid Nate and I, he picked Perry, and I picked nothing. I didn't care about it, and we both picked Rockhold. So let's see. So I have 4 right, 1 wrong. Well, no. So out of 5, I have 1 wrong. So I have what is that? 80. Oh God, man, 80% success rate, right? That's what that means. Now, Kid Nate had 6, and out of those 6, he had 1, 2, 3, 3 wrong. So he's 50%. So I trounced him. My math is probably that's hardcore Goldman Sachs math. What? You get 80 and I get 50? Yes. It doesn't seem right. Oh, it's right. As long as the big number is on my side of the ledger, it's right. Luke Rockhold, or as we call him in my house, Luke Cockhold, and David Branch. David Branch from the Bronx, hangs out in Brooklyn and Brownsville, and it was no surprise. It's 24-4. And I said before, I may have said it on the Care Don't Care preview, the guy needs to embrace the fact that this is mixed martial arts. The only place I worry about Branch is his jiu-jitsu, right? And his kicking. Because he's going, I'm a better boxer than him, which he proved in the first round. He's like, my wrestling is better than him, better than his. Right, that's debatable. Never said anything about jiu-jitsu. Never said on the video about him doing some video with him doing jiu-jitsu, being tossed around by one of his black belts. And if you have eyes to see, you knew it was trouble. Absolutely knew it was trouble. Seen guys who are good boxers, good wrestlers. Once you get in that scrabble down in the weeds, you got to come up with something other than your penis in your hand. You got to. That's a Godfather callback. I don't want my brother coming out of there with nothing but his dick in his hand. Got it. So he gets lit up. The only reason that Branch didn't put him away, and this is of course Branch's failing and why Kid Nate hates him. I don't hate him. I'm a Branch fan. But he did a calculation, and this is a low fight IQ thing. So look, I got 5 rounds to go. I can't burn myself out here. And he pulled back when he should have been pushing forward. Cain Velasquez, when he was on the show, when I interviewed him, said it best. He said, when I listen to what Javier says, things work out well for me. And when I don't, they don't. And you had to know after that first round there was going to be an adjustment that was made, and that adjustment was made immediately. Smother mugged, lifted up, thrown down, mounted. Dude who doesn't do jiu-jitsu rolls to his stomach. Can't tripod up when he should have had the moment to tripod up. I mean, it wasn't even, he wasn't even, Cockle wasn't even grinding on him. But the best part about this fight wasn't seeing Branch get beat, because I actually liked Branch, even though Rockhold was my pick. The best part was watching Cockhold do his Captain Ahab routine afterward. GSP, just step aside and let me. You shouldn't be there, laddie. Get out, your French Canadian whale. Get out, and let me take my rightful place. How does that feel? You're in a position, in a place where absolutely 0 mistakes can be made. 0, 0, 0. And they were made. Every day you wake up, you look at that face in the mirror that made those mistakes. Bisbee, one-eyed Bisbee. Yeah, fuck that guy. Let me say, like that kid who got pasted by my daughter, said to his bench right before he got out in the mat, I'll be back in a second, boys. And he was. Cue the clown music. Then he goes shuffling back with his head hung low. You just got wasted by Grace Robinson. You're lucky she didn't cross-face you into oblivion. So he's doing his Captain Ahab thing, and he's in there. And GSP is doing crazy stuff. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna hurt people. I found the bully that beat. Hey, you know what? That's a nice story that you told. The guy was homeless, and you gave him some money, and you gave him some advice. The guy cleans his act together, and he comes. But you know what? That story never, ever, 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 ever would have come out of the mouth of a guy named Eugene Robinson. I might have given the guy some money. Yeah, well, let's not get crazy. I might have given the guy some good advice. I might have helped him on the road. And when the guy came to his house, like he came to GSP's house to thank him for setting his ship straight, I would have said, "Man, are you feeling better now?" The guy would say, "Yeah, just thank you." And I'd have punched him right in his fucking face. I was talking to my wife about it. She was like, yeah. We were talking about, they had this thing about how women cut themselves off at the ankles when they're bosses, and they had womanly responses and male responses. And I said, well, what's interesting is that at my time at a boss, I've kind of charted a path that's exactly in between. And I'll say to my people who work for me, I said, hey, could you do this thing? And they're like the mail way is supposed to be, I want that on my desk by 7. One more thing, yeah, could you do? So I said, could you do this thing tomorrow? And I'm scheduled to go out, and I go, oh, that's okay, I'll do it. No worries. And my wife was like, well, what does that mean? I said, no worries. Anybody who has the ears to hear should know that means you're about to get fucking fired. Because I'm paying you and I'm doing your job. I want that job done, and I want it done tonight. I'm not going to say that. Go do what you got to do. I'll stay and do it because I care about the publication. But generally, when I'm saying no worries, you should fucking worry. No worries. So he's got GSP doing this crazy stuff about telling the homeless guy who used to bully him, who got him into martial arts. I mean, maybe I just stood there and said, oh man, it was because of your constant and continual bullying that I took martial arts, and it changed my life. I mean, it's not so much the mansion that I have, because I have a mansion. It's not so much the Rolls Royce that I have, because I have a Rolls Royce. It's not so much the millions of dollars in the movies and the TV commercials and hanging with celebrities. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I care about helping little people like you, because you helped me by shoving my head in the toilet, by knocking me into the lockers. You really did help. So thank you. Let me see if I've got something for. Oh yeah, here's 50 cents, man. I want you to think. Go, take. It's from me. No, don't thank me. Don't thank me. Take that 50 cents, and I want you to live a little. No worries. So that's a fight. That's a fight. I kicked Kid Nate's ass. I think that's pretty much the sum total. I'm sitting here on Sunday. I'm not feeling bad. I'm not feeling especially good. But I'm telling you something else. If you're going to ask me honestly, if I'm going to be sacrificing many more Saturdays for that, no. You know what? If I had TV in my house, I wouldn't mind. But you got to understand, every time there's a fight, I got to hermit crab it and find some place to watch it. And don't tell me watch it on Fight Pass, because that shit doesn't work. Or, these Eastern European things where you got to watch 10,000 ads and they're putting all kinds of spyware in your shit. Doesn't work. Man, maybe Showtime, when they renegotiate deals, will step into it. But don't trust Showtime. Do not trust Showtime. Showtime is like when Tuco goes into that bar in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He asks the guy for the gun, and he puts together this gun. He takes different parts and constructs it, and says to the guy ammo, and he shoots it, and he does some more thing, and he goes, "Great, how much?" Guy goes 50, points the gun at him. How much? 40. How much? Take it. Showtime buys the rights to the UFC. You think it's going to be good news? I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure about that. As Showtime puts together the gun at the counter, and yeah, they'll deal with money. But Showtime is so heavily involved in boxing, I don't know that I would trust it. Oh, they're not going to spend millions of gajillions of dollars and then tank it. Oh, really? Conor McGee got $135 million from that bullshit fight with Mayweather. A day at the office. You think they give a shit about $10,000 a fight scrubs? No matter how many of them. 375, like they said about Steve Allen. He's written over 5,000 songs. Name one. They're all a song named John. That's what comedians call a callback. If you don't know what that means, go back to the front of the show and watch it. And you'll see now that we've come full circle on this UFC Fight Night 116. You see that when you compare it to the boxing match, they had everything going right. Everything going right. It's like the guy, like that friend of mine who fucked the guy who was the manager for System of a Down. It was going so well. They hooked up. There was a flirtation. There was a seduction, and they kind of finally, went off, and they had their thing, and the sex was great, and they're laying in bed together, and he looks at her all smokily and says, "Did this white cock make you come?" Cue clown music. Man, the guy is like he made it across the goalpost and then stumbled backwards and was tackled. No touchdown, bro. No return engagement. You got to know she had absolutely zero involvement with your white penis. The whiteness of your penis was not what made what happened good. But, guys got this stiff in their heads. She's a black chick, so she's been dealing with black dicks. And how did I compare? Save that creepy locker room shit for when you're hanging out with your dudes. Do not do that with a woman. Please, please. Get across the goal line and stay there. Please. Having 4 sisters, the whole family women, and growing up with women my whole life, the stuff, and then doing the sex columns for the past 20 years, the stuff that I hear from women coming out of guys' mouths, you just try to model yourself after, like, I don't know, the strong silent types. Like Abe Lincoln said, better to be thought a moron than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Just don't say shit. It's a safer bet. It's a safer bet. The air of mystery. And then when you say something special, it'll be like Chauncey Gardner and Being There. It'll be like, ooh, he just said, ooh. So this Canelo GGZ thing, they had everything. They were like right across. They had the interest. They had the next generation status. They had, the dark horses. They had, lo and behold, Canelo is as white looking as he could be, but he's a Latino guy. So he's a white Latino guy. So he's like great white hope, but he's also like a Latino cat. He's got the whole Central South America thing pulling, and then he's a Mexican and Mexican American, and he's got and then GGG's got the Eastern. I mean, you're not finding too many white cats who from America who deeply into boxing anymore, because this the boxing mom thing, and GGG wins this fucking fight. And then in the most predictable fashion of the world, people are trying to figure out with the one of the judges what was in her head. What was in her head? What was in her head for her to make those scores the way she did? You can't honestly tell me the head is the wrong place to look for that, right? The purse, the wallet, the bank account is probably a better place to look for that. How do you feel now? For those of you who had the audacity of switching back and forth, how do you feel now? From Canelo and GGG to Branch and Cockhold, how does that feel? How? You could have been doing any number of things. Keep in mind, this is prime time. This is from 6 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night, man. It's 4 hours. Now, some people still, go out at 10. Yeah, if you're going out with 10, you know what you're going out at 10 with? A belly full of shit. Because that's how you feel. It's like I gotta change my life, change my shorts, change my wife, change into a 9-year-old Hindu boy, get rid of my life. Tom Waits. And we're getting jazzed up. What kind of acts of legerdemain we got? If I Did It on Tuesday, and we've cut that show in half. So let me give you the breakdown. If I Did It, the first half is the old If I Did It. We solve MMA kerfuffles. We log out, we log back in if the shoe fits, and that's real world kerfuffles. 30 minutes. We figure, for the fight heads this way, and then for the people who came for the other stuff the other way. And then where are we now? So we are oh shit, what, Clint Eastwood died? And well, he was older than dirt. I talked about him a lot this show, but so then September 23rd, we got St. Preux and Mauricio Shogun Hua, right? All right. Oh, Shogun, man. Shogun Hua, man, that's it. He's gonna be a great fight with Shogun. Oh, Shogun's not fighting, huh? Oh, I got it. Because you see, he had some sort of problem or something, and yeah, you know what his problem was? He's not getting paid 135 mil for the fight. So maybe you show up for work, maybe you don't. Yushin Okami against Ovid St. Preux, OSP, one of the most boring fighters in the light heavyweight, is great. You know what I'm going to be doing next Saturday night? Not this. The wife is in a play with Nazis. I'm not kidding you. She's an aerialist. She's doing hammock about a circus troupe. It's a true story about a circus troupe where the Nazis kept stealing the circus performers, send them to Auschwitz. So she plays one of the circus performers, an aerialist. That's where I'll be September 23rd. I'll watch the fight, but I'll watch it on Sunday morning. It's in Japan anyway, so the timing will be kind of screwy. And then there's a break for a bit. So we'll do Wednesday probably a Care Don't Care preview, which I've already, I guess, stated my level of care for this. If I Did It, and If the Shoe Fits on Tuesday. Oh yeah, because man, you got such. I don't want to tip my hand. We're still going to do the show anyway, the Care Don't Care preview. But the reality of it is, who among us is not excited about Janelle Lassa or Nake Inoue, or Ketia Nakamura and Alex Morano, or Hungung Lim and Dachi Abe, or Cyril Kanda and Chanmi Jion, or Shinsho Anze and Luke Jumeau, or Takanori Gomi and Dun Hui Kim. Nomi, since when have you been interested in Nomi? Jusei De Silva versus Sasaki. Since when? Saki versus Enrique De Silva. Since when? Claudia Gadella versus Jessica Andrade. Maybe. Ovid St. Preux against Okami. Can you smell what the cock is cooking? Don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to try to stick around as long as possible. That's the end of the show. This is 256. I'm Eugene S. Robinson. Go down below, give it a thumbs up. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's the thing. The margarine. What is that margarine that gives you the crown? There, we eat the margarine, you get a crown. That's the ding, 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 ding. So give it a thumbs up at Eugene S. Robinson if you want to do the whole Twitter thing and get that special personal connection to all my articles. Honestly, I got my bank robbery piece. Has Eugene robbed the bank? Yes, he has. Was it filmed with photos? Yes, it was. Did I not go to prison for it? You got to read about it. Ozzy.com. I put a link up on the Twitter feed, so it's there right now. You check it out. or if you want to, Mr. Sleep 3. Mr. Sleep 3 on Instagram, but you got to send an invite. That's still a gated community. Anyway, that's the show. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to write an intro for this. Then go to a movie. How about that? How about that? Anyway, we'll see you Tuesday with If I Did It and If the Shoe Fits, and Wednesday with Care Don't Care preview. Be careful. Take care of yourself. And look what you made me do!